Welcome back to the City Current Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference, empowering the good. And we love talking about Volunteer Odyssey and the power of volunteerism. We are joined by Alexandra Schreck. She's the Director of Operations with Volunteer Odyssey. And Alexandra, how are you doing?
So great. Thank you so much for having me, Jeremy.
Absolutely. So we love Volunteer Odyssey. You do tremendous good in the community. And when you talk about the power of matching individuals, organizations with nonprofits to make a difference in volunteerism and that impact, give us some background on Volunteer Odyssey.
Absolutely. So we were founded in 2013 by our founder and current CEO, Sarah Petchnick. This idea was kind of born out of a noticeable gap, right? So she wanted to make a difference and get engaged in Memphis, and she noticed there was a large separation between volunteers and the actual nonprofits. So she formed Volunteer Odyssey, which is a volunteer center that is based in and built for Memphis. So our whole mission is driven to power nonprofits' missions by recruiting and matching volunteers according to their preferences and likes and schedules. So that way, when they find a place to volunteer, they can call it home and keep going back.
I know that you're coming up on some big numbers in terms of the impact. So talk about some of the stats.
Absolutely. So since 2013, we have actually engaged over 22,000 volunteers in the city. And so that is 22,000 volunteers who have gone out and, planted new plants at Memphis Botanic Garden. They've served different people experiencing homelessness through Catholic Charities. They've done community cleanups at Memphis Rocks. And we are about to hit over $10 million of economic impact, which is such a big deal. And so that is the value of the volunteer hour and what that would look like as, economic impact for our community.
I know that when you talk about volunteerism, it sounds so simple, and yet it's not. When you talk about creating a meaningful experience, working with nonprofits to engage volunteers, and on the other side, making sure that volunteers are prepared. Talk about kind of serving that middle ground of working with the nonprofits, but also the individuals, and both the matchmaking, but also too working on that refined experience for impact.
Absolutely. So Volunteer Odyssey, kind of sets ourselves aside because not only do we match volunteers, but each nonprofit that we partner with, which is over 40 in the Memphis area, we thoroughly vet. And so we want to make sure that nonprofits have really stable and strong volunteer programs. So that way they are able to utilize volunteers in a way that will best meet their needs. So we work with nonprofits to make sure on their end, they have someone who will receive the volunteer in the parking lot. They will have an ability to send out clear directions of where to go and what to expect. So that way, whenever the volunteer comes, they have a great experience because they have great service from the nonprofit, and it makes them want to come back and give even more of their time and meet whatever needs that nonprofit has. And that can range anywhere from, walking dogs with Memphis Animal Services to being a bucket brigade person at the Overton Park Shell for live shows.
I know that this is a big part of the history for Volunteer Odyssey, but there's power in terms of job seekers refining their skills, building relationships, building a sphere of influence, showing they can add value and make a difference. Talk about the difference that you're able to make as a volunteer, but also the reward in what you gain personally and professionally as a volunteer.
Definitely. So I think that volunteerism is such a unique way to engage with any community, but especially Memphis. Because not only are we, like I mentioned earlier, powering these nonprofits' missions and reaching out to feed the hungry or whatever that might look like, beyond just that, like you said, it is a way to build skills. I myself learned how to chainsaw volunteering with the Boy Scouts of America. It's a great way to build skills or even hone skills you have. There are a lot of opportunities that, we were part of a volunteer tech camp. And we had someone there who showed up who was a chemist, and he said, I don't do any coding, but I wanted to practice. So I came to volunteer here and learn more. So it's a great way to hone and build new skills. It's a fantastic way to meet new people. Oh my gosh, what a great way to get plugged into your community, because you are able to have neighbors and friends and people from businesses all over Memphis who are investing their time and investing their employees' time in the city that you can meet while volunteering to make those social connections. And more than that, it's a great way to build up your character. And so there is nothing that feels better than being able to go and see a difference, make a difference in a way that you're enjoying. And so building yourself up by helping others is a great way to make sure that you're not only, helping yourself like with your physical health or your mental health, but this is a way to kind of build your character's health.
Carry that forward into working with individuals, but also large groups and companies. And so on both ends, really you've got the website where individuals and groups can go in and see all these volunteer experiences and opportunities. But like you said, matchmaking for individuals, but also making it very easy for large groups and companies to plug in as well.
Absolutely. So we do, like you said, have a platform online. People are able to go and see our calendar. So they have opportunities for all days of the week, at all times of the week, for all types of group sizes, right? From you to a group of 4, and you can sign up and go do any kind of activity on our calendar. But if you are a corporation, we love coordinating corporate service days. And so what that can look like is they would reach out to one of our team members or me specifically, and we would kind of get an idea of how big their group is. Usually we can take any group between 20 to 300. And we will help them build a special service day that is just for them, that can be guaranteed to be a fantastic, high quality experience. And so we work with them to figure out, if they have certain pillars that they align themselves with in their business, so we can match them with nonprofits that will meet those. We split up the group across nonprofits all over the city or in specific geographical areas if they need that. And then we can even coordinate a kickoff event or a wrap-up event, so that way they can really reflect on the work that they're doing and build that relationship with their team.
And I think once again, it sounds simple, but there's a lot of work that goes into exactly what you're talking about. When you're talking about a large group of 20 to 300 and being able to match that with the appropriate nonprofits that fit the mission and purpose, being able to break that down into smaller group sizes so that it's meaningful for the volunteers and impactful for the nonprofit. And then, like you say, being able to provide a kind of a follow-up, a recap, a dive in where you can share the lessons learned, and also too getting pictures and video and sharing the stories and all of these lessons learned. And I think there's just a lot, but all of that goes back to what you do at Volunteer Odyssey, but ultimately how we're able to encourage and equip others, more individuals, more companies, to get involved and make a difference. And so talk about, from that vantage point, the need for more volunteers and what you're seeing right now currently from the nonprofits.
Definitely. So I feel like before COVID, right, there's a very delicate ecosystem for volunteers and opportunities. And when COVID hit, we saw all of our nonprofits close, right, or at least severely pare down all of their work, and a huge skyrocket in volunteers because everyone was working from home. And so they had time and flexibility and wanted to give back. And we believe people still want to give back now, but now that nonprofits have kind of opened and geared things back up, we've seen a heavy fluctuate the other way, because as people are returning back to life as they know it, are now in this totally different climate and world, I think that they're slowly building themselves back up to coming back to volunteerism. But there is a severe need. We have so many opportunities, again, across all kinds of nonprofits, that they desperately need volunteers. And like you said, individuals can sign up for these opportunities, but we've also seen a large cultural uptick in VTO, or volunteer time off. And so we see there are a lot of businesses, especially here in Memphis, who value the community. And a great way to show that is by providing volunteer time off for your staff. And so even if they don't want to do a corporate day of service, they're able to provide hours for staff to take off to volunteer, through any of our opportunities, or even going and volunteering at a voting poll station and things like that.
Let's stay on that thread. I think that's a very important thing, especially for companies, when you talk about how do you incentivize, how do you encourage volunteerism, because Social impact is now mandatory. As consumers, we're making our purchasing decisions based on volunteer efforts, social impact. We want to see companies physically involved, financially involved with nonprofits, and we expect that now. But also employees are choosing where to work. And when you talk about the hunt for the best talent, attraction, development, retention, all of that comes back to, as a company, having a purpose. And so I think that, like you're talking about, there are some very easy ways that companies can open up the floodgates and incentivize and encourage their employees to go and be an army of do-gooders and be involved in the community. Like you're talking about, having the hours that they can choose themselves, also to making it a part of your performance evaluation. So when you look at how you give bonuses out, how you grade for the next level of your job career, you can make volunteerism a big piece of that. Are you serving on any boards? What nonprofits are you volunteering with? What are the things that you're involved in the community? So a community conversation becomes a part of how you earmark bonuses and incentives for your company.
And in addition to that too, Jeremy, I just would love to add that not only that, there have been so many studies that show that adding volunteer time off or allowing an opportunity that is accessible to staff to go and give back to the community increases retention and increases, quality of the workplace. People want, like you said, want not just to support businesses that are doing good, but they want to work at those businesses. And it shows that you value your employees and their well-being, right? Again, like with their character and their mental health and their physical health, volunteering helps improve all of those.
Yeah, happiness, productivity, all of them, to your point, they go up. And so there's every reason in the world to promote volunteerism, to get your team involved and engaged in the community. Mention again the website, how easy it is, where to go to take the first steps. So as an individual, as a company, even for nonprofits who say, wow, this could be a huge asset. How do we start taking those first steps with Volunteer Odyssey?
Absolutely. So like we said, we do have a website. Our main page is volunteerodyssey.com, but our platform specifically is just serve.volunteerodyssey.com. And on that site, you can see all of those opportunities and kind of get started. And it's very easy. We try to make it as accessible as possible. So it is in a calendar format. You can also have it organized by specific nonprofits if you already know the partner you want to work with. But you can go in, click on the opportunity. If it's blue, that just means that it needs you. It needs someone's help. It needs someone physically to come and be there. And you can easily make an account. And not only are you able to sign up for these opportunities, get updates from those nonprofits, and know everything there is about your volunteer experience, you're also able to track your service hours throughout the year with our platform. So I'm able to log on and see all the nonprofits I've ever volunteered with, how many hours I spent there, and I can even see my own personal economic impact based on that all on our platform, which is pretty neat. And so it's a really easy way to track that. And as far as getting started for individuals, I would definitely recommend popping on our platform. You can search by area code or locations. You can see what specifically is in East Memphis or Midtown. And then beyond that, if you're a corporation who's interested in getting involved, you can reach out to me, Alexandra at volunteerodyssey.com. And we can get you started as early as today.
How much lead time do you need when you talk about working with large groups with a company? What's the preferred lead time on saying, okay, let's start the conversation now, but 2 months, 6 weeks, a week?
I so appreciate you asking. Ideally, we would love to have minimum at least a month, especially depending on the group size. A month for a team of 20, that is the sweet spot. If it is anything over 20 individuals, which we are happy to match, and we do that all the time, we would just love as much time as possible. So if you have a retreat coming up in 3 months, and maybe you want volunteering to be a part of that, go ahead and reach out to us while you're doing that front end planning, so we can kind of make sure that this is incorporated thoroughly in your plan. And we have plenty of time to find nonprofits and get really interesting and unique projects set up.
Give me one more thing that you wish everyone knew about Volunteer Odyssey.
We've talked about our individual matching. We've talked about our corporate projects. I think this is more about volunteering as a whole. It doesn't have to be a big task. I feel like a lot of people think of volunteering and they go, oh, I can't give 9 hours every month to go and do, the same thing at the soup kitchen every week. And it doesn't have to be that. If you volunteer for 1 hour or 30 minutes on a Tuesday morning and that's all you have, that's still volunteering, and it is still just as valuable as someone who will be going there every week or every month. If you can volunteer even an hour, that makes a difference. It really does, because we just did a project last week with a corporate partner where they made literacy packets, and it took 15 minutes. And now over 100 kids are going to get a packet in the mail that they are going to learn how to read with. And they're going to remember these flashcards that they made and carry them with them. And because of them, and those 15 minutes they took, kids are going to be able to learn how to read. And you can make that same difference with that same amount of time without any pressure. So that's what I wish people would know about volunteering.
Yeah, very well said. And I'm glad you mentioned that for sure. Wrap up again with website, contact information. Where do we go to learn more and connect in with Volunteer Odyssey?
Absolutely. So please go visit our platform at serve.volunteerodyssey.com. If you have questions about corporate projects, feel free to reach out to Alexandra at volunteerodyssey.com. And my name is spelled just as it is here. And please feel free to follow us on social media and Facebook. And reach out to us however you can. We would love to get every single person in the city of Memphis connected to a volunteer opportunity to make our city a better place.
Well, Alexandra, thank you for all you and your amazing team do. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Jeremy. We're big fans of City Current. We appreciate you.